what I wanted to do was to really set the scene and give you an idea as to or around the in-technology approach to BYOD, or to mobility and securing those mobile devices. And the reason for that is because there's nearly, by 2016, there'll be 18.9 billion network connections, which is basically about 2.5 for every person on the planet, which is a lot. Compared with 10.3 back in 2011, so the growth rate is huge. Gen Y basically want to have anywhere access anytime to both their corporate and also their personal information, or their personal data. So it's very, very important for us to look at putting in a process that they can actually do that. Now, I'm certainly not Gen Y, but I also want the same thing. It is a new trend, BYOD, or the whole mobility space, smartphones and so forth is a new trend. It's certainly a trend that's actually not going anywhere. And we need to actually make sure that our organisations are prepared and are able to step in or step up to that new technology requirement from our users. We also need to ensure that, that when we're actually putting the solutions together, that they are secure and that they are robust. And the most important thing we need to look at is really looking at, our priority one should really be looking at the policies around mobility and the policies around users using these type of devices. They do pose potential security risks. If you are a business owner or a business manager, you'll understand the complexities and the challenges that we face around having someone bring in a 32 gigabyte phone into your network and have it connecting to your network and access to your corporate data. So part of what we really want to talk about today is showing you how you can do that and do that in a secure manner. And the whole idea behind it really is for us to make life easier for our organisation, the people within our organisation, to communicate, collaborate and work together. That's the whole overall goal of the reason why we want to have this BYOD concept. So it's just going to run through some strategy planning points, and you'll actually see on your on the chairs there, we've actually got these, we've printed out for you, that you can actually take back into your organisations and use as a guide, as a reference guide for when you are looking at implementing your mobility strategy around your smartphone devices. So to look at how do we manage these devices is the first and foremost most important thing. So how are we going to do that? Strategic planning or strategy planning is an absolute must. So don't walk away from here thinking, great, they've given us this information. Now, if we go and buy these products and we put them into production in our organisation, we're going to be okay. It's not just about having technology that you can use. It's about having a plan around that. So we also need, and as we go through that, we need to look at a number of different points. So who are the people that are coming on? Are they corporate devices or are they personal devices? What platforms will you support within your organisation? You'll hear today from a number of the presenters that there are a number of different platforms that we actually currently can work on. Android, iPhone, Windows 8, and there's about 300 different versions or 500 different versions of Android, depending upon the vendor's phone that you've got. So looking at which devices will you support and which operating systems will you support on those devices. When can they use them? So when can our staff use the devices? Can they use them at home? Can they use them at the office? Can they use them on the road? Another important thing to consider. When can they use them? So what time of day can they use them? Can they use them throughout the whole day, 24 hours a day? And then also looking at what type of user has access to that data 24/7, if that's the policy that you're going to go down. Recently, Volkswagen basically have a policy now where their 1,154 white-collar workers basically don't get access to email a half an hour after they finish work and a half an hour prior to them starting. And the reason being is that Volkswagen's, their corporate policy basically in the past has been, we're going to give you a smartphone, and you can use it 24/7. The issue that they found is that their workers were actually taking stress leave because they actually were working too many hours. So their policy was to actually give them a smartphone, but only allow them to use email an hour before and an hour after they'd finished work. So again, it's a different policy based on what the requirements of the organisation are. And then why? What's the benefit? What's the benefit to the organisation and what's the benefit to the user? So the benefit to the organisation is obviously that by giving somebody a smartphone or giving somebody a device, a mobile device that they can have email on it 24 hours a day, means that they're going to potentially work a little bit more. From a personal perspective, it also allows the user to look at, okay, I want to look at my email whilst I'm having breakfast so that I know what I'm in for when I get to the office. Or I want to be able to see my email before I go to my first meeting. So it's that convenience for the worker. So potentially helps the worker in expanding their 8-hour day into a 24-hour day, which is going to actually help them in their own job. So it's dependent upon what the requirement of the organisation and how you think the individuals within that organisation are going to cope with those policies. So as I said, the take-homes for you we've left on your chairs. So they're basically the quick reference guides. On the front is obviously what I've just spoken about there, and on the back is some reference guides in relation to the technology that you're going to see today and the framework that we've developed both for around this event, but also when we're actually going to market and we're talking to customers around their policies and around their mobility strategy. We value your feedback, and during the break we'll actually put some feedback forms on your chairs. We would ask if you could please complete those. It is actually a feedback form, but it also is a survey, a BYOD survey. So what we're doing is we're basically trying to understand from the people that are coming to these events across the country, and we have about 600 people across the country attending the events that we're doing. We had our first session in Brisbane on Monday. We have about 60 or 70 people there. So if you could fill that out, that'd be great. By filling it out, we will also send you a copy of the survey results so you can see what other organisations are doing and then potentially look at doing either following their lead or at least getting a better understanding around what organisations in Australia are doing. I will actually be presenting the results of the survey that we're doing across the country at the BYOD 2012 event in Sydney on the 6th and 7th of December. There's also a brochure on your seat if you'd like to attend that. Apart from that, I'd like to again thank you for all coming and spending some time with us this morning.